Welcome to an instant reaction edition of Andy Ari On3 presented by BetMGM. We are live at the MGM Grand Detroit in the sports book. We watched some guy yell 2 Heismans for Arch Manning when he ran for that touchdown. And you know what? I think that's how the Texas fans feel tonight.
I was kind of right.
Maybe one for Arch and one for Colin Simmons.
I was kind of right.
Kind of right about what?
Heisman stuff. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Andy, 9 different directions we can go in. I'm going to let you steer the ship here. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's just start with how big this is for Texas. You took something away from Aggie. You're not taking away their playoff appearance, but you did take away their first chance to go to the SEC championship game. You still can claim ownership of the state, unless you lose to Texas Tech in the playoff, I guess. But we don't know if Texas is going to get to play in the playoff. I guess that's the question we should ask. Does Texas now reinsert itself in the playoff conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can start the conversation now. Why did Texas play Ohio State if that game's going to keep them out? You know, that's going to be what we hear.
Can
from
I ask
now
another
into the next
question,
8
though?
games.
Can I ask another one?
Of that. What?
Why did Texas lose to Florida?
I mean, that's the rebuttal. But
that's the only rebuttal, because I'm with you. And you told me this when Texas started to cook a little bit. You said, I'm going to ask you on the show, why did Texas play Ohio State? And I do not want the playoff committee to punish teams for scheduling difficult out-of-conference games. I don't. The problem for Texas is of all the teams that are going to be in the mix for this, because we've talked about Alabama having the worst loss, Texas will now have the worst loss. The Florida loss will be the worst. Yeah. They're either going to be 3-9 or 4-8, so it'll be the worst loss.
Here's the difficult thing, Andy, because you're right. If they don't make the playoff, I think I saw the ESPN graphic said that even with the win, they're 8% to get in.
Yeah.
But even if they're not going to get in, but with the Florida loss, the question becomes, if Texas did not win or did not play against Ohio State and beat Rice instead, would they be in the playoff?
Yeah.
And I think the answer to that question is yes. So regardless of what they're penalizing, the question is going to be, is there more to lose from playing a game like that than there is to gain? And I wonder if that's going to change any schedule.
We're going to hear a lot of rhetoric if they don't make it in. Now, I think there's some scenarios where maybe it won't matter, but Yanni Morales in the chat says, well, it will be Texas A&M versus Georgia because Bama about to lose to the bottom feeder of the SEC. Yanni, that's not what would happen. If Alabama loses to Auburn, yes, Georgia's in the SEC championship game. So all that conversation we had about do they want to play in it or not doesn't matter. They're playing in it. If Alabama beats Auburn, Alabama's in it. If Auburn beats Alabama, Ole Miss would play Georgia in the SEC championship game. And think about that, guys. Think about what that means if Lane Kiffin does not choose to stay. If he says, I'm off, I'm going to LSU, they got a game next week.
Well, the question is,
if that happens,
did the result of the Texas A&M Texas game delay the timeline of that at all? Of when we expect to hear the news? I
think Ole Miss now really needs an answer fast.
Yeah, but do you think Lane Kiffin will wait around to see whether he's going to the SEC championship game or if we're going to find out before that game kicks off? That's not a night. That's a night game, Andy.
Right. I think the decision was meant to be announced before that.
Yeah, that's wild.
So
that's a wild
is
scenario.
It's funny. We've done 3 of these and they've all come back to Lane Kiffin because everything does come back.
That's what's happening right now. Lane Kiffin is the entire sport. That's what everyone's minds are on. But Andy, I want to go back to the A&M Texas game for a minute.
Yes.
Do you want to contextualize A&M season? Because I feel like it's very easy to, watch a game. They're down in the dumps. They lost a heartbreaker. I wrote a column earlier in the week saying that they had to win this game because in the state, obviously, that this reigns supreme and you don't want your special season to get taken away from Texas. And it kind of did tonight. Let's be honest. It did.
Yeah.
But the way that A&M will be ultimately remembered by the rest of the country, maybe not in Texas, but the rest of the country will be defined by what happens from this point on. So if you're an Aggie, you should be upset. That stunk. You were winning at halftime. It felt like there was even a chance that you were going to be able to take control of that game, and you didn't. Marcel Reed had a few tough turnovers down there the second half, which means that his likelihood of winning the Heisman Trophy went from unlikely to impossible, probably.
Yeah.
But you still have a lot to play for this year, and I still wanted to congratulate Mike Elko and Texas A&M on a really good season.
So Ken in the chat, is Texas A&M still a playoff team? Honest question. Honest answer, yes. They're going to make the playoffs.
Yes.
There will be no debate about that. They will make the playoff.
The made-up ESPN math was if they win, they're in 99.9%, which I don't know how I don't know.
Yeah, I think they were 100% in if they won.
And if they lost, they were 99%.
Yeah.
So like, they lost 0.9%. You're a one-loss team in the SEC, and they're going to have to face some questions, Andy. They're going to face some questions about the schedule that they played and how it played out for them and all those things. And the only way that they're going to be able to answer those questions without being called a fraud, which they'll hear for a lot of the next month,
right,
is to go win a playoff game. There's only one way out, and that's winning.
Well, question is now, what do you do with Texas? And I think a lot of that is dependent on what happens tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if Ohio State beats Michigan, if Tennessee beats Vanderbilt, does Texas want Auburn to beat Alabama or not want Auburn to beat Alabama? How does that matter?
Really
that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing that you should be asking is, did Vanderbilt effectively get eliminated tonight?
Yeah, they're going to have a hard time because even at 10-2, they have a head-to-head loss to Texas, and Texas is going to play the "we played Ohio State" card. And you know what? If Texas had played Virginia Tech, they'd be 10-2 too.
Yeah. So bad loss. I mean, the committee is considering bad losses now in a way that they haven't in the past. Maybe that plays into it, but 7-point margin of defeat to Ohio State, I think, will be probably a positive for their resume. But hey, far from eliminated.
Well, we'll see what happens with that game because I still want to know what the committee is going to do, how they're going to. Because if Andy's 10-2, I'll be very curious to see how they rank those two, like whether or not Michigan. Because I think if Michigan beats Ohio State, this is all a moot point. They're going to get that spot.
Yeah. Because you're going to start seeing a collection or a conglomerate of 10-2 and 9-3 teams there towards the bottom. We're going to have to parse through all that.
You want to hear an easier way out of it for the committee? Let's say BYU beats UCF tomorrow, and they go lose to Texas Tech, and they're 11-2 with 2 losses to Texas Tech that the committee's going to have with a bye, by the way, at that point. They just put BYU in.
Yeah, I don't know if they want to escape. Like the way out of what? They'd be happy to put Texas in if that was a better option. I mean, I guess the question's going to be...
Who would you put in, though, Texas or BYU?
It's difficult.
You hadn't thought about that one, had you?
I hadn't really thought about BYU, but BYU in the same regard, too, it's like, on one hand, they've been kind of disrespected by the committee, but on the other hand, it's like, do you have to take into account...
But they haven't really been disrespected by the committee. They're right there.
Yeah. I don't know. If you play a playoff team twice and you lose twice... I don't know. Maybe it's a matchup thing.
I think they'd probably have to play them a little closer than they played the first time.
The thing with BYU is they don't have anything else buoying their resume.
They have the Utah win, and the committee loves Utah.
Yeah, they do. Utah ended up winning today, right?
They did.
Yeah. So that still helped.
Remember, BYU started the week 5 spots ahead of Texas.
Yeah.
So does Texas getting one of the better wins of the year overcome that?
I mean, it's kind of hard to predict because I used to think that was the supreme thing. You have a top 5 win there. That means more to the committee than anything. That's not how it works anymore.
Yeah.
Who you beat isn't carrying the ship the way it used to.
So that's the interesting question. We are trying to predict what a group of people who've been largely unpredictable all year are going to do.
Because they've got one of the best wins, but they've got one of the worst losses.
Well, Texas has the worst loss. And right now, according to the rankings, they have the best win. Now, perhaps that shifts to Alabama because Georgia might be ranked higher than Texas A&M. But at the moment, they have the best win and the worst loss.
Yeah. But, kind of had a feeling that this could happen, and we're here. Let me ask you this, though, because Texas, by and large, for most of the year, kind of looked like crap. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of their season, they didn't look like.
Yeah,
Did you watch
the Kentucky game, the Mississippi State game, obviously the Florida game.
Watching this game tonight, watching the way that Arch performed in the second half, do you have confidence that Texas could perform in the playoff after that? Like, will the committee be moved by the
If they play like that, they can beat a lot of teams in the playoff.
Yeah. So they're back in it.
They are back in it. So, all right, what does that mean for everybody else? You think that's it for Vanderbilt?
I do.
Okay. What about Michigan? Can they get in with a win against Ohio State?
Yeah. I mean, we have to take out a sheet of paper and do that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia crime chart.
The murder board.
It's hard to figure that out. the question's going to be if Michigan does beat Ohio State stays in the field, and then, who gets knocked out?
Right.
Who has the most, to me, I would take Michigan over Texas in that situation,
right,
because Michigan would have.
That's why I think Texas is out if Michigan wins.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at this. Okay, Texas A&M is not being knocked out of the field. The only one that could potentially be knocked out of the field is Alabama. Yeah. And then you're going to have the Alabama-Texas head-to-head at 9-3, and potentially Vanderbilt at 10-2, and BYU potentially at 11-2.
Yeah. So here's two.
By the way, if BYU beats Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game, they're both in.
Yeah. Here's a curveball for you, Andy.
Okay.
We've been fixating a lot on the Notre Dame by Miami.
Oh, okay. Is this? There we go.
I don't want to have that. I can't do it again. I'll pass out. But what I want to know is, if Michigan is 10-2 and Notre Dame is 10-2, and you scrutinize those resumes together, who wins that? Also, what about if it's Notre Dame, Miami, and Michigan?
They're going to pick Michigan. If Michigan beats Ohio State, they're going to pick Michigan, because Michigan.
What if you put Texas into that pot?
I think it's still going to be Michigan.
Yeah, but you have 4 teams for 2 spots.
Well, okay. So Texas and Michigan, you'll have, Texas would have an A&M win and a Vandy win would be their 2 best. And Texas would have the horrific loss. Michigan would not have a horrific loss.
No.
Michigan's 2 losses would be Oklahoma, playoff team, USC, which we think is going to finish 9-3.
Yes.
So I would put Michigan in that scenario.
Yeah. So, you
but
have.
Right now we're talking about one spot. Potentially Notre Dame's spot is in danger.
Yeah. I mean, Notre Dame doesn't want any more bid thieves to get into the picture any more than Texas does.
Notre Dame, okay. Texas, Notre Dame, Alabama, all those people really do not want BYU to win tomorrow and then win next Saturday against Texas Tech.
Well, what would be interesting is if BYU does win and then we start scrutinizing Texas Tech's resume. There's a lot of different avenues this can go down. I think if I'm Notre Dame, Notre Dame's just living under this reality that they're in no matter what. And so far, in their defense, the committee has given us no reason to think that they're not going to just put them in.
Well, they have them above Alabama right now, which I don't
makes no sense.
See them, but I don't see them changing that. So
unless Alabama wins the SEC, which
they could, yes, that's true. If Alabama beats Georgia, then absolutely. Well, not only that, Alabama's in automatically if that because Alabama will be one of the 5 highest ranked conference champs.
Yeah. So,
Hot Lana Man says, as a UGA fan, if the SEC championship game ends up UGA Bama, I don't want to go. Nothing to gain and everything to lose. Am I insane? You're absolutely not. You're this. We talked about this earlier. Georgia lost its starting center in the Georgia Tech game. I would bet they were not thrilled with the result of the A&M Texas game. They wanted to not play in that game, probably because they needed to get healthy. By the way, Jeff Sims just threw an interception. It is still 10-7 Arizona.
Can I read a quote
Cup.
to the question from Kirby Smart?
You may.
We schedule them. The ones that want to leave, we schedule them. We try to get them on the schedule because when they leave, they're not physical. It means they're probably going to a place that's not physical. We like those places. We like to play them. We prefer to play them, actually.
He's not talking about wanting to play a physical game or not.
It's one of those deals where you don't run from hard in life. You run from hard, you'll find more hard.
They're not running from it. They were hoping the system would let them avoid it.
Okay. If you're a Georgia fan, just read that quote.
Try really hard to win the SEC next week.
Yeah. Well, they're in now, right?
Yeah, they're in.
It's not like
there's no choice.
You can't deny it like it's a bowl bid. It's not like the Outback Bowl where you can say no, thank you. But yeah, that's going to be a fun game. And after a long, winding year of SEC football, we just land back at Georgia, Alabama again.
Caleb says, what should the committee weigh more, a close loss at Ohio State or a bad loss at Florida? I think they're going to weigh the bad loss at Florida more. I think that is going to weigh more.
If you're reading the tea leaves on how the committee has reacted to everything so far this year, you would think that. Maybe they'll average the 2 together. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because Notre Dame's doing a lot of floating around with quality losses to tough teams. So,
right.
Texas on one hand has that.
Does this loss hurt Notre Dame's resume? One of their quality losses took a loss.
I don't know. Because they're still going to be a top 10 team. So, I don't know how much of a difference that makes.
Well, again, the committee putting them above Alabama, I think, tells us something. So, the Iron Bowl is obviously, we're all going to have eyes on the Iron Bowl for many, many reasons. One, Jordan-Hare Stadium's haunted. 2, the games are just crazy. 3, if Alabama loses, maybe they're out. Does DJ Durkin get the job at Auburn if Auburn wins? But also, we need to be watching BYU CF.
Yeah, I think that you might be right. I don't know what they're going to do. The 2 Big 12 thing seems a little far-fetched to me.
It does not if BYU wins tomorrow and then beats Texas Tech. They're not going to just drop Texas Tech out of the bracket. Like, Texas Tech is going to be 4 or better going into the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah.
They're going to drop them to 11.
Yeah.
If they lose
I don't think that's going to happen. So, you never know. It's college football, but I would be surprised after what I saw the first time those 2 teams played if the result was different. What else we got here?
I mean, it's just so I listed the teams in the tweet, and I didn't list BYU, and I got to apologize because I feel like we've just ignoring them all year, but we can't ignore them. Like, they're very much in the mix for this thing. They are number 11. You need to be number 10 to get in.
Yeah.
That's it. You need to be number 10 to get in.
Yeah, they're right there. They're right there.
So I guess Steve Sarkisian said that Texas has 3 wins better than Notre Dame's best win. Notre Dame's best win is USC. Texas A&M is better. Vanderbilt is better. What's the other one?
I don't remember the other one.
It ain't Kentucky. It ain't Mississippi State.
It's hard to remember everybody's resume off the top of our head, guys, so give us a second.
Oklahoma.
Oh, duh. Oklahoma. We're so stupid. It's midnight in Detroit. Give us a break.
So Texas has 2 wins against playoff teams. Duh. Yeah. And a dominant win against Oklahoma. Yes.
Yeah, they do. Again, doesn't seem to matter.
Should matter. Should matter.
I can't. You don't put me on the spot on that one.
But the Florida loss is a terrible loss. And that's the other piece of that.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't lose to Florida, a team that might only finish with 3 wins, but at best can finish with 4.
Yeah. Well, here's another.
Then we're not even having an argument.
Another curveball on this, too, is that the committee seems pretty keen on the eye test.
Yep.
And I got to be honest with you, Texas failed the eye test 80% of the time this year.
Right. They passed it tonight.
Yeah.
But not every night.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's the committee's thought process is like a big Southern stew. I don't know what we're going to put in there, but we'll see what we get out on Tuesday.
Well, this is going to be a wild day tomorrow because, like we said, everything always comes back to Lane Kiffin. As of now, Ole Miss is now in the mix for a berth in the SEC title game if Alabama loses the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
Does that change, delay? I don't think it delays anything because I think Ole Miss is like not Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. Ole Miss, the administration wants a decision right now.
Yeah. So, yeah,
they got to get started prepping for a game in a week if Alabama loses.
Tomorrow is Lane Kiffin watch on top of Rivalry Saturday. It's
on top of Ohio State, Michigan, on top of the Iron Bowl, on top of all of these games that could affect it. Vanderbilt, Tennessee, BYU, they play UCF, but they got to win. Texas Tech plays West Virginia. They don't have to win, but it would certainly not hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I brought my puff for everyone, so we're probably going to go live on the side of a highway somewhere in Romulus, Michigan, or whatever.
Maybe we get all the way to Ypsilanti.
I don't know, but I can feel it in my plums. It's going to come out of nowhere, and it's going to come fast, so we'll be prepared, though.
Oregon, Washington's tomorrow, too. That's another good game. Good Lord. It is going to be wild. Miami, Pittsburgh. 33 degrees at kickoff, everybody. 33 degrees at kickoff in Miami, Pittsburgh.
It's going to be a day.
Oh, and the chat is all insert team here ain't played nobody. Yeah.
Well, every single team. Nobody's played anybody.
We also, the other part of it tomorrow, Ari, that I didn't even think about, because we keep harping on Lane Kiffin watch. What if we find out who Florida's hiring as a coach, who Auburn's hiring as a coach, who Penn State is hiring as a coach? All that could happen in the next 2 days as well.
It's a good day for me to be out of town. We're going to be hacking away and talking away, and it's going to be great. I hope everything happens tomorrow.
It's going to be spectacular. When next you see us, we will hopefully be at the Big House. But again, if news pops super early, We may be in Ypsilanti. We don't know. What a day. Thank you to the MGM Grand in Detroit. Unbelievable host. We had a great time in the sportsbook. If you've never done a great college football day in a sportsbook, so we did Black Friday. After Michigan, Ohio State, we're coming back at the sportsbook here. We're going to watch the afternoon games. We're going to watch the Iron Bowl. If you've never done a big college football day in a sportsbook, I highly recommend it. If you can get to this one here, MGM Grand Detroit, it is spectacular.
Great slice of pizza, too.
Ari, let's get some sleep. Everybody, get some sleep. It's going to be a big day tomorrow. We'll see you then.